What is a handicap in golf and how do we use it? My name is Ben Utah and I'm going from average guy to professional golfer in just 1 year. This channel is documenting that process, and one question I get quite a lot is, what is my handicap, or what is my handicap index? Well, the handicap index is something that we're going to be using to track my progress from average to professional. If you want to follow that journey, this channel is documenting the whole process. So hit subscribe right now, hit like, join the gallery, and stay tuned for all of the tour-bound content. But first, we need to understand what even is a handicap in the first place. If you clicked on this video, you've probably heard of someone saying, I'm a 5 handicap, or I'm a 1 handicap, or I'm a 12 or a 15 or a 20 handicap. But what does that mean when they say that? To boil it down into simplest terms, when you take the last 20 rounds that you've played, your handicap index is the average of the best 8 rounds of golf played. That's it. So if I were to say that I'm a 7 handicap, that means on average, my best 8 rounds out of the last 20, I shot 79 on a par 72 golf course. So now that we've cleared the air on what a handicap index is, we need to talk about the other ways in which this word is used, because it's used in multiple different ways in golf, further just adding to the confusion of what it means. You'll also see a course handicap, and a course handicap is essentially taking your handicap index and applying it to a specific course. So your index is a general measure. The course handicap is how you would fare on that course in particular. So that's the course handicap. But I know you've all seen a scorecard, and on each scorecard there's a hole-by-hole handicap. And so each hole will have its own handicap. But what does that mean? Is that the same? Is that different? That hole-by-hole handicap is telling you what's the hardest hole. That's all it is. It's just saying the number 1 handicap on the scorecard is the hardest hole in the golf course. The number 18 is the easiest hole in the golf course. And you can use this for different things. If you're trying to plan out a round ahead of time in a course you've never played, you can kind of see where the difficulties may lie. Or if you're playing a match with someone who's a different handicap than you, and you want to give them some strokes, or they need to give you some strokes, then let's say you're a 7 handicap, you would get a stroke on the 7 hardest holes. Or if you were a 2 handicap, you would get a stroke on the 2 hardest holes. So that's the golf handicap broken down in the simplest terms possible. It's simply just a metric of your ability, the difficulty of the course, or the difficulty of the specific hole, depending on how you're using the word. But let's answer the question, what's my handicap? It's a question I get a lot, and on this channel we're following my progress from average guy to professional golfer, so one way in which I'm tracking that is my handicap. Well, when I started this process in March of this year, 2023, I hadn't really played enough golf to have an official handicap index. So this is a little bit of an estimation, but I was a 6 handicap to start the year. And that's just based on the rounds that I did play. Like the first video you watched, you saw me shoot 79 on a par 72 at Fossil Trace Golf Club. Now, my best ever handicap in high school when I was playing all the time was a 3.2. That was as low as I ever got, 3.2 handicap, meaning on average I was 3 strokes over par for 18 holes. There's a number of different ways in which you can track your handicap. If you want to do it the official way, you need to register with the USGA, and I'm showing that on screen now. They have a system called the GHIN, or the GHIN Handicap Index. You can do this online or through their app, but it's going to cost you a fee, which I, at the moment, cannot afford. So I am unwilling to pay that. So I'm using this app, the Golf Handicap app. And it's essentially doing the same thing. It's using an algorithm to make the same calculations and average your best 8 scores of your last 20. So this is how I'm tracking mine, but I think 18 Birdies also does this. So if you want to check out 18 Birdies, they have a similar thing. And if you don't want to do an app at all, there is just random handicap calculators online you can use. And yes, these are not official handicaps, but for me it doesn't really matter. And you're going to understand that in just a second. So currently, my handicap is a 1.3, as you're seeing on screen, which is awesome. So in the last, how many months is that? Since March. April, May, June, July. In the last 5.5 months, I've gone from a 6 handicap to a 1.3 handicap. And that's pretty good. I'm really happy with that progress, and I've been practicing a ton in order to achieve that result. Again, I don't really care about handicaps. It's just a metric of how good am I playing. When I started this process in March, my goal was to be a scratch golfer by the end of the year. If you're not familiar with that term, a scratch golfer means a 0 handicap, meaning you get no strokes. On average, you shoot even par. So that was my goal by the end of this year. But 1 year from when I started this process in March, meaning next March 2024, my goal was to be a +3 handicap. But what does a plus handicap mean? Well, a plus handicap is essentially just the opposite. Whereas if you're a 7 handicap, that means you're going to subtract 7 strokes off your score in order to get to level par. If you're a +3 handicap, that means you would need to add 3 strokes to your score to get to level par. Another way of saying you typically shoot 3 under is a +3. So when we're talking about mini tour players, since that's where I'm hoping to go next year as a mini tour, we tend to see somewhere from +3 to +5 being the average handicap on the mini tour. So again, that's just another way of saying these guys usually shoot somewhere between 3 and 5 under par. This year so far in 5 months, I've removed 5 shots from my handicap. So I think it's pretty realistic that I could achieve a 0 handicap by the end of the year and a +3 handicap by next March. I think that's well within the realm of possibility. So I guess we're right on track in terms of that. Lastly, and you've stuck around long for this, it's time for my handicap rant. I understand that the handicap system is meant to make the game fair for everyone. It levels the playing field and allows you to compete against anyone in the world. And I guess in theory that makes sense, but to me it just simply doesn't. If I'm playing against someone who's a 20 handicap and I'm a 1 and I'm giving them 19 strokes, are they really competing against me? Or vice versa, if I'm playing someone who's a +6 and they're giving me 7 strokes, am I really competing against them? Let's say I win that match. I have a good day and I win a match that I was given 7 strokes. Do I feel good about that? No. I don't feel like I've won anything. I was gifted 7 shots. That's a ton in golf. If you're gonna beat me, then beat me. But don't beat me with strokes. And if I'm gonna beat you, then I wanna beat you. I don't wanna be given the match. That doesn't make any sense to me. I've never understood it as long as I've played golf. I've never been a fan of the system. And so I've really tried not to take part in it as much as I can. So to me, I don't understand it. I do, however, understand it for the purpose of creating flights for tournaments. So a lot of tournaments will have different flights. It's essentially different tiers, different categories based on your handicap. What I don't understand is then applying a handicap to those flights. You've already been placed in a flight based on your handicap. Why are you still taking 10 shots off your score if you're already in a group with other people who are also doing that? I'm a fan of playing straight up. And so in this tournament I'm playing, I don't have an official handicap, so I won't be playing on a 1 handicap. I'll be playing off a 0 handicap, which is scratch. And you know what? I think that's fair enough. I don't want to pay the $50 just to have a 1 beside my name. And I don't care about net anyway. All I care about is the gross score. Because in order to win the tournament, you have to use your gross score, not your net. To me, that doesn't even count. I don't care what your net score is. So if you're out there and you're totally disagreeing with me, let me know. I'd like to understand what I'm missing, if anything, or if I'm saying something you've always been thinking, also let me know, because I feel like I'm on an island with this. I feel like I am in the minority of thinking this way. So I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of, am I crazy or am I right?